Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Triple Cross Cinema, where we do one of my favorite genre, the psychological thriller, with like three of the most established American directors working today. So, I'm Mario, and with me, as always, is Whooper.
Hey everybody.
Yep, so today we're gonna do Mulholland Drive by David Lynch, the one and only Lynch, in 2001. Black Swan by Darren Aronofsky in 2010, and Gone Girl by David Fincher in 2014.
Right. I guess they are all American directors. I hadn't even put that together.
Yeah,
Aronofsky
two.
doesn't, his name sounds like he could be a foreign director. Uh, I guess he's American.
Yeah, he's American. So we have like two David and one Darren.
Oh, okay.
Actually, if I think about that, we can do another David from Canadian David Cronenberg. He's also like very twisty as well.
I don't think I've ever seen a Cronenberg film, but I know he directed The Naked Lunch,
Yep.
which is an adaptation of a William Burroughs novel,
Right.
which, and Steely Dan, one of my favorite bands, took their name from the name of a dildo in a William Burroughs novel, which I think was
There we
actually The
go.
Naked Lunch.
Right.
So there's my personal Cronenberg connection, though I've never seen one of his films.
Yeah. Yeah. His film are really twisty as well. So he's the but that not to say that all these films are not twisty. All these
Are you
films
saying
are not
twisty or filthy?
twisty.
Twisty, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these films are pretty twisty. I would say that Gone Girl is not really that twisty a movie,
Oh right.
because I don't know. That film just seems very very precise and very like cleanly made. It doesn't have
Right.
the messiness of Mulholland Drive or Black Swan, at least in
Right.
my opinion.
Yeah. What order would you want to go first?
I don't know. Alphabetical, chronological. It's up to you.
Let's go. All right, let's go with release date.
So Mulholland Drive first, then.
Yep, Mulholland Drive.
That might
Let's go
actually
with
work
that.
best because I just watched that movie and I probably need to talk about it before I forget everything that I just saw. Uh, but I may have forgotten everything already, so we'll see.
All right, well, Mulholland Drive. I don't know why. So my local theater would play that films like in once every few years, and the last time I brought one of my friend who never who don't usually watch any movies to watch Mulholland Drive, and she enjoyed it. So I'm glad
Oh, she enjoyed it.
she enjoyed it. Although she told me that she didn't understand anything. She liked the atmospheres and uh, the moody setting. So yeah,
Hmm.
and yeah, to watch the film in theater is something that like I really wanted to do, and I did. So I'm happy.
Yeah, the Blu-ray rip that I watched was not. It wasn't exactly pristine.
All right.
I don't know how. I mean, it was shot on film, I assume, because most movies were still being shot on film in the early 2000s, from what I understand.
Yeah.
I think the only things that Lynch has done that are digital are Inland Empire and Twin Peaks season 3.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
So like all these one after this.
Everything prior was probably shot on film.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
And this is only the second Lynch film that I've seen. The first one being Fire Walk with Me, the Twin Peaks movie.
Huh.
And that film is extremely like psychologically and emotionally punishing. So Mulholland Drive, in terms of like the theme of this episode being psychological thrillers, Mulholland Drive was very easy on my nerves compared to Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah.
However, it was maybe more difficult on my brain because,
Yep.
you know, the dive into the blue box for the third act of the film
Yep.
just leaves you like trying to hang on to the raft that is Mulholland Drive in an
Yep.
ocean of like questions that spring to mind.
Right. I would say that for two-thirds, the first two-thirds of the film is this film is still pretty easy to follow because it have narrative. It have like so we have Naomi Watts character Betty
Right.
who trying to figure out who Rita is
Well,
because Rita has amnesia, so she doesn't remember anything.
but her name's not really Rita, right? Doesn't she get
Yeah,
that
yeah,
name from looking at a poster while she's taking a shower?
that exactly it.
What's the name of the
And
film that's in the poster? Do you remember?
I don't recall it at this moment, but oh, Gilda.
Gilda?
Yep,
Okay, so
it's
is the main
it.
actress in Gilda named Rita?
Yep, that's right. It's the
Okay.
main actress from Gilda.
So that's probably important. I mean, the film's commentary on filmmaking and Hollywood and acting and directing. I mean, the film has something to say about all those topics. So the fact that one of the main characters steals their name from a film is probably relevant to like what Lynch is getting at
Yep,
in terms of the like the themes of the film and how he engineered the screenplay.
yep,
She steals her name from a movie.
yep. How
I
he
thought that was the
engineered the
case, but when I was
screenplay.
watching that scene, I didn't. I remember now that it was called Gilda, but I didn't take note of the actress's name that was on the poster.
Yep,
Should we just call her Rita? We don't know her real name, right?
yep, yep. We just call her Rita
We don't
because
know
I
if her real name is in fact Camilla.
or not.
Yeah.
That's right. So so yeah, like the first two-thirds of the film, I said again is still pretty straightforward.
Yeah, more or less.
So yeah, so Betty she's like the newbie. She just come to Hollywood. She is an aspiring actress,
Hmm.
and we see her doing some of the audition as well, which I would say that she did it pretty well.
Yeah. It was interesting what a big gap there was between the way that she rehearsed the scene with Rita in
Yep,
her aunt's apartment
yep.
versus the way that it was in the audition scene.
Hmm.
And that audition scene really, man, it made me it's so uncomfortable.
Really? All right.
Yeah, yeah, because
See,
they're in that small little room. There's like
yep,
six people there watching them.
yep,
The guy has a real slimy attitude in terms of let's play it real close. How
yep,
he's holding her so close, and she, as a result of that, is pressured into playing the scene a lot more sensually than perhaps she had envisioned it.
yep,
But at the same time, immediately she like locks into that mode as a performer. So you can infer that that sort of sensuality exists, uh, like in her personality, in her character.
mm,
Not the character that she's playing, but who she is as an individual. But again, like the line between character and performer, and it's all very blurry.
I agree.
Nevertheless, like despite the fact that the film purposely blurs the line between actor and character, I still felt like it was. I mean, I haven't seen that much Lynch. I've seen Twin Peaks, all three seasons,
Yep.
excluding some episodes in season two that I just skipped because they have a legendarily horrible reputation.
Wow.
So I just read a plot synopsis for those episodes and skipped over them. So I've seen that. I've
Yeah.
all Twin Peaks related stuff, and then this film. That's all. But even just from those two things, I guess,
Uh,
um, you get the sense that Lynch is like a really voyeuristic sort of director.
what the word that you use?
Voyeuristic.
All right, boy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. I think you hit the nail in the coffin then because one of the other films that make him famous, Blue Velvet, is about a detective the main characters. Sorry, he's played the main character from Twin Peaks.
Right. It's Kyle
Uh,
MacLachlan.
yeah. Uh, do like peeking through these uh through the closet to see like one of the horrible crimes happen in him. So yeah, the voyeuristic I think is the right word.
Yeah. I mean, it's not surprising that his characters would act in a similar way, but I just think like Lynch himself probably has voyeuristic tendencies. Like there's
Mm,
in season 3 of Twin Peaks, there is a sex scene with Laura Dern, who I know
yep,
he's worked with several times before, including
yep,
maybe in Blue Velvet.
yep.
And it is so, man, it's just so long and so,
All right.
it's just, I don't know. I kind of get weirded out
uh-huh.
by his depiction of sex
Yep.
or just his
Yep.
direction in general. It's very, I mean, I think he's a great director because even
Yep.
though his films, superficially make so little sense in quotation marks, I still am like locked into what's happening, you know? He just kind of carries you along gently through like horror and surrealism and a bunch of stuff that should make you uncomfortable and make you want to like get up out of your seat and or like massage your temples in confusion, but
Uh,
you don't have to because he figures out a way to get you through it while still keeping his hooks in you.
yeah, I agree with you. Like I watch a ton of horror and other like psychological thrillers film, but like Lynch film is the one that for some um some section of that that scare me out the most because like I cannot guess what coming next.
Right. Like the man behind the diner.
Yep,
That was
yep, all
extremely
of that.
Twin Peaks.
It actually the a woman who played that.
Oh, a woman is playing that role in that
Yep,
in that costume or whatever.
yeah, in that Scott too. Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think is the what is that character, or what does that character symbolize, or what do you think about that character?
No idea, man. You tell me. You tell me actually.
I have no clue, man. I mean, we were talking before we started recording about the fact that Mulholland Drive was originally conceived of as a television project.
Yep.
Some people have said that it was supposed to be a Twin Peaks spinoff. I think Mark Frost said that, one of Lynch's writing partners, and also Sherilyn Fenn, who plays Audrey in Twin Peaks.
Yep.
I don't know if Lynch has ever directly said that it was originally a Twin Peaks spinoff, but it was definitely a TV project
Yep.
at first because he shot a pilot for it and it was rejected by ABC.
Yep.
So that the reason I bring that up is to say that some of the characters or the more supernatural aspects of the film or plot threads were probably envisioned. They were created with the intention of stretching them out over like 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, who knows.
Yep.
And the man behind the diner is probably one of those, in the same way that Bob from Twin Peaks took a while to come into focus.
Yeah.
And Bob being another supernatural sort of horrifying character. It's important in Twin Peaks mythology.
All right.
So I have to guess that the man behind the diner has some larger significance in Lynch's mind as to what's happening in all of Mulholland Drive. But we just don't know what that is.
I would say that figuratively, that man behind the bar is like represent on the field.
Okay.
That's what I.
So like the
That's what.
seedier, more like disgusting kind of part of
Yeah.
Hollywood, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Do
That's.
you remember what was in? So we see the man behind the building during the first scene with the two men at the diner, like Wendy's
Yeah.
Diner or something along those lines.
Yep.
I took a screenshot of it. Winky's Diner. So
Uh-huh.
the man behind Winky's. One of the two guys in that scene was in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And so the two of them go behind the diner. They see the thing behind the diner. It pops out. That was one of the scariest parts of the film for me because it just emerges from around the corner.
Yep.
I don't think we can infer anything about the character from that scene. But in the second one, when the camera actually goes around the corner and it's darker out, and the guy is
Yep.
sitting in the creature or man or whatever, played by a woman, is sitting in that chair. Isn't there a bag at its feet, and there's something in the bag? Do you remember what that is?
I don't. Oh, is it that's the box? I think
Is it? Yeah, I thought it was
that's
the
the blue
box.
box.
Yeah, it wasn't the key, right?
It
It was
was
the
the key.
box.
That was the box.
Okay.
We don't. Oh yeah, we did see the key, but yeah. For the first half, we only see the box, the
Right.
blue box.
Yeah, so the box being kind of the key that unlocks the like the dreamier, more surreal portion of the film, and the fact that he has one in a bag,
Yeah.
makes me think that he's responsible for whatever larger scheme is taking place in Hollywood,
Mm.
that like kind of sucks. I don't know. Maybe it's like a Madoka Magica situation where he's like QB and he's like sucking the souls out of actresses in order to like
I
give himself power or something,
to,
and he uses
all
the blue
right.
boxes to do that.
To tell you the truth, though, I don't have any evil aura from the monster at all.
How can you say that when he's so creepy and he in the first scene where you see him, the guy who has the dream about him, like two dreams about him,
Yeah.
uh, and sees him through the wall of the diner apparently.
Yeah.
That scene, the costume is so scary and he emerges from behind the corner in such a frightening manner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly intended to be scary. You're not at least a little frightened by that?
No. That first scene, I feel is frightened for sure. But like the later film when they reappear, I don't feel any evil vibe from them at all.
Well,
That's
maybe that's the point, is that they're not evil. They're just that's just
yeah,
what they do. They harvest like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, the souls or the essences of actresses. Like, you know, in this film, it's pretty clear that one of the messages is Hollywood will like take young aspiring actors and actresses and like chew them up and spit them out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think that maybe that's what that character is supposed to represent, and the blue box that it has, and perhaps that it placed in Betty's or Diane. What do we call her?
Medics.
Okay. Well, it places the blue box in her hands somehow.
Yep.
Seems like a scheme on his part. Like he's delivering these blue boxes into the hands of these actresses so that when they're opened up, it like sucks their souls out or something.
Yep.
That's like a literal reading, you know.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if this
And
film can really be read literally.
all right. And what do you take on these on the directors? We see like the whole misadventure of him. You know, like he going back to the house. He's being pressure to take a this actress as like the main characters for the main actress for his next films. He refused, and then he came back home to find that his wife cheated on him
Right.
by Miley Cyrus' fathers
Yes, Billy Ray
of all
Cyrus.
people, of all people, and yeah, he's really having a bad day. So,
Yeah.
what you take on that stories?
The guy's performance is a little weird to me.
Yep.
Um, I don't know what kind of direction he received to make his to give that sort of performance, but this is another reason why I feel like this film is kind of voyeuristic, like directorially speaking, is because when he first sees Betty,
Yep.
he like, you know, the camera zooms in on her representing his gaze, like where he's looking, it zooms in on her and then it flips
Yep.
around, zooms in on him.
Yep.
So he sees the young starlet who he is like taken with, you know. And
Yeah.
then later on, once we've gone into the blue box and it's the final act of the film, you see that he is in some sort of romantic relationship with Camilla. So in both versions of the reality, the director is, you know, has his eye on the gorgeous young actress.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Mm.
just think that's a little weird
Yeah,
for
it is.
you as a writer director to write a character who is a director who is so taken with his actresses.
Yep.
He's his performance kind of reminds me of a lot of characters from Twin Peaks. He's like operating he's not operating in reality. He's operating as though he is an actor in a film.
Mhm.
That kind of comes through in his performance,
Mm.
and it kind of encourages you to keep watching because you as an audience member are kind of on the fence as to whether this is really happening or whether it's a film. You know, you're not quite sucked into it because the performance is not naturalistic at all. I think it suits the movie, but I can't comment on like whether I thought the performance was good or not. I don't know. It's probably very calculatedly uh, sits between those two worlds.
Mhm. Yeah, so we get present to like two realities. So I think of this movie like a Mobius strip. You know how that is like it's
Right.
connect it's connect like in the middle, but they have like two parallel realities where
Yeah.
people swap their identities, and like where maybe one of these realities are just a dream and one is really happened or not. We
Right.
don't know anything for sure.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's as clear cut as the two female leads swapping like bodies or lives or realities or anything.
No, it's not. Yeah. Go
It's
on, go on.
difficult to say
Yeah,
exactly what happens in the last leg of the movie,
yeah,
because it's not as though they take each other's names.
yeah.
Um, they both take different names,
That's right.
which come from. I mean, the name. What is her name that starts with the D?
Diane.
Diane. Yeah, the name Diane we see at first on the waitress's name tag in Winky's.
Yes. Yeah.
The name Camilla we also hear somewhere else in the film. Where does it come from?
That's the address. That's the picture of the address
That's
that
right.
people prive the pressure the director to take her. This is the
Right.
girl. That's it. Camila wrote it.
Right. Yeah, we see first we only see her as like a picture, the
Yeah.
headshot.
Yeah. Yeah.
When there's that movie. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, you know what that scene kind of reminds me of? The
Yeah.
scene where it's the director and his representative, and then there's the two guys who come in and they're like insisting that he cast Camilla. And then
Yep.
there's the two studio guys who are kind of in the center. All those people sitting around the movie talking about who's going to get cast. It reminds me of that scene in Shirobako where there's that meeting in a boardroom and
Oh.
they're arguing who the voice actresses are going to be
Yep. Yep. Yep.
for a particular anime.
Yep. All right.
I mean, the scenes have very little in common
Mhm.
stylistically, but I just had that. I just made that connection in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Camilla, that's right. That's where the name Camilla comes from. So as far as whether like Rita and Betty have swapped lives, I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think that's it. I mean, I think if I had to guess, I would say that the second part of the film is what's real,
Yep.
um, because in that part of the film, Camilla has been
Yep.
cast,
Yep.
whereas in the first part of the film, they're trying to get Camilla cast.
Yep. All right. I uh I yeah, I don't want to go to like what I think what this film is about, because David Lynch himself doesn't really explain it, so it's up to like our own like belief and
Right.
to theorize like what happening. But yeah, I would say that a lot of people agree that the second part is more as a dream. Sorry, it's more as a real, and the first extended two-thirds before the Silent Zero club is what Diane or Betty dream of.
Isn't it after the Silencio?
So yeah,
It's
so
after
all
their
this.
first visit to Silencio that they come back and then
Yeah,
go inside the blue box, right?
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So what happened was what happened in the Silencio, and then afterwards they go back home and like they kisses, they make love, and then
No, that's not right, is it?
oh, that's sorry, that before that I I messed up. So that the Silencio part, and then when they get home, they found the box, the key and the box together in the bag.
Yeah.
So they try to open that up, and it's opened up to Diane waking up
Yeah. In the same bed where they found the corpse, right?
in the same bed, in the very same pyjama as well.
Right. Yeah.
In a very
I
same
can't
position
even
as well.
begin to explain what was going on with the fact that
Silencio.
she was Diane
Oh.
and that they.
Yeah.
I mean, the Silencio thing just reminded me of the Red Room from Twin Peaks, or rather, I shouldn't say the Red Room. I should say the bar.
Yep.
There's a I can't remember the name of the bar now in Twin Peaks, but in every episode of season 3 of Twin Peaks, it ends with a performance at a particular bar. Oh, the Roadhouse in Twin Peaks, and there's a musical act. Like there'll be a performance by Chromatics play at the end of episode 2, and at the end of episode 10 in Twin Peaks, the same woman who does the performance at Silencio performs a song called "No Stars." So she's collaborated with Lynch more than once.
Yep.
So that Silencio is Mulholland Drive's version of the Roadhouse from Twin Peaks.
Yep.
And I don't know, in both cases, it just, I mean, there's more to it than this, obviously, but it seems like Lynch just wants to have a little musical number in his movie. And in fact, there are multiple ones in this film. There's also the 50s vocal pop performance that's set in that little box, it's shot through that window. With Camilla eventually gets the role, but at first it's performed by a different actress, like a actress with darker hair.
Yep.
So there's that performance in this film. There's the performance by I wrote down her name, Rebecca Del Rio, who's the woman who sings "No Stars" in Twin Peaks, and in this, it's Llorando, I think, is the name of the song in Mulholland Drive.
Yep.
And there's also the film opens on a musical performance.
Yep. Yep.
And I mean, this is my theory. I think that performance is the jitterbug contest that Diane talks about in the third act of the film. Like when she goes to that party, Camilla walks her up she gets her out of the car and walks her up the hill to that party, and they're all sitting down and eating. And Diane talks about the fact that she won a jitterbug contest in Ontario, her hometown.
Yep.
Wasn't there a reference to, her aunt was shooting a movie in Canada. Betty's aunt was shooting a movie in Canada. I think Betty was also from Canada, not just Diane. So they're probably there's that link between those two characters.
All right, I would say that there are two scenes that I feel is very important for the movies. The first one is the Silencio. What happened in the Silencio bar or disco or club?
Who knows?
Who knows? because I think it's like the event changing. That's the plot changing event. And the one afterward is the one where you just said, the one in the party in the last house where Diane talk about her past, and where we basically see every other characters that we see in the first half.
Yeah,
And-
we see a lot of them for sure.
and if
Go ahead.
yeah. All right. I want to say, and if you take it that way, you could say that it's Diane who who due to stress and due to disappointment that Camila will get married with the directors. She dream of the whole thing where she she reform herself. She start anew. She
Right.
have a girl falling for her. So we see all that. We see like the cowboy in there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and we see like the cocoa that would be her landlord, and she eats some kind of like the thing that look like a dog poo.
No, those are nuts.
Yeah, this look like a dog poo though, right? And that's happened in the in the first scene where
Yeah,
she
there's
said
dog
like,
there's dog poo on the walkway.
yeah, I think there's a connection between that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection at all. I mean, okay, I guess. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well,
Because those are cashew nuts. I mean,
yep.
millions of people eat those every day as a snack, probably. I think that's what they were.
Yep.
Um, I don't know what kind of nuts they were actually. Now I'm calling my
And
identification of those nuts has been called into question now that I'm thinking that they're little poop pellets.
and and yeah, and it's not the same as well. It's not the same as now. It's Diane who like who in the passenger seat to the Mulholland Drive. So I think that makes sense that it's the time where she like start dreaming and start diverging from reality, where it's not her sitting in there, but it's her partner Camila or Rita, and then she having cat crush,
And she's having what?
a crush,
Oh, a crush. Yeah.
the
I mean,
accidents.
she's jealous.
Yep.
Because obviously she loves Camilla, and yeah, you can go from there and say that the first 2/3 of the film are the dream because she's redoing her life. She's getting off the plane,
Yep.
and she's gonna, she's wearing pink. She's so excited. She's just made it to Los Angeles for the first time, and she's just like exuberant. She's like bubbly. She's excited to meet everybody, et cetera, et
and
cetera.
and she
But
talented.
what?
Yep. And she talented
Yes.
as opposed to like the Diane who not really that talented. Like she
Well, who's
she
to say whether she's talented or not in
yeah, true.
the third, you know, in the final section of the film? We
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, obviously there are like sinister forces in Hollywood
And
who are controlling who's being cast. This is the girl.
Yeah.
When she comes up, you say this is
Oh,
the girl. Like there are
eh,
people who are dictating who gets cast and who doesn't.
all right. And the theory that I have is that this is a girl. Remember that part is
Yeah.
when she hired the hitman to kill her partner. Remember when they sit
Yeah.
in that dining room?
Mhm.
Sorry, in the diner.
Yeah, in Winkies.
And I think the guy said like, if I leave the clue key, it means that the job is done or something along that line.
That's not what he said, but I can't remember what exactly he said. He said something about going and using it somewhere.
Yeah.
And she was like, "What am I going to find when I use it?" And he's like, "Ha ha ha." He just laughs. And
Yeah,
also
yeah,
in
yeah.
that scene, the waitress who's serving them, her name tag says Betty.
Yep.
So I mean, that's a pretty clear clue,
Yeah.
I think, that she is in that scene. She is taking the name Betty and using it for her fabrication. But it's interesting that in her dream,
Yeah.
there's that old woman who she emerges from the airport with. I assume that
Right.
she's been on the plane with her, Irene or something. I can't remember the woman's name.
Yep.
And then the older woman gets into like a taxi or a car with her husband, an older man, and they're seen laughing.
Yep.
I knew
Oh, man.
even at the start of the film when I was watching that, I knew that was some like the length of the scene and the fact that it is holding so still on like their laughter, and it goes on for just a little bit too long. You know that something is off in that scene, so I figured that they were not just regular people,
Yeah.
Um,
They will
and of course, they
reappear at the
recur
end.
as like little tiny people who come out of the bag of the man behind Winkies,
Yeah.
and then they drive Diane to her
Diane
death,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
or they compel her to commit suicide, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, so it's interesting that even in her vision of
Yeah.
reality or her dream, like her redoing her life in the first 2/3 of the film, those characters still appear.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Kind of casts doubt over like whether one of these realities is real and one is a dream or a fantasy. The fact that the elderly couple appears in both.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
They
And the
could
fact
both
that
be fabrications.
and the fact that like when we see on the first two thirds when Betty and Rita are looking at Diane and we see her corpse, but like we when Diane or Betty wakes up, like she hasn't died yet, so it's like a or maybe just a prediction, a like foreshadowing. Not too sure, man.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole thing
And
with them finding the corpse is particularly troublesome. Like if you're trying to make sense of the film,
yep.
because then it's two of the same person in the same place, and that's
but I
not
love
really
that, man.
that's not
Yeah.
possible,
Yep.
unless you're dealing with parallel realities and people crossing over. That
Oh.
just gets to be too much.
But this is dream, not a like time traveling. So like everything can work.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Everything
When you make
possible,
when
yeah.
you make a film like this, you can do whatever. Like there were
Yeah.
certain scenes in the
I-
movie where I'd imagined the characters like just slapping each other in the face or like kicking each other in the balls.
Yeah.
And if that had happened, the film would not have it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
People still would have heralded this film as like a masterpiece, because when you're playing with rules this loose, you can just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. I agree with that. And to further on that, if like Diane was like the last third was real, and she did order someone to a hitman to kill her partner. So I think it makes sense that when she dream of the hitman in the beginning, he's very incompetent.
Oh, that's
Because
right.
he's-
Yeah,
she-
that scene really made me laugh. The fact that he
Yeah.
is trying to frame the killing as a suicide and he keeps getting interrupted.
Yep. And he keeping a whole heaps of other people just to shut them out.
Right. Now, the janitor, was that Harry Dean Stanton?
I had no idea. I couldn't tell. I couldn't say.
Okay, because Harry Dean Stanton has been in a ton of Lynch's films.
All right.
Okay, apparently not, because I did Control F for Harry Dean in the Mulholland Drive Wikipedia page, and it wasn't there. Darn, that's too bad. My
Maybe
theory
you're-
about like a unified Lynchian universe has just been shattered.
Maybe the role is too small that they wouldn't credit him for that, but
Maybe
maybe he does.
I kind of doubt it is him. He looked a little younger than Harry Dean Stanton would have been at that point in time.
Right.
But it could have been him with makeup on. That was my initial thought, was that it was Harry Dean Stanton with a bunch of makeup on.
All right.
But yeah, that scene was pretty scene was pretty nuts.
Bizarre. It bizarre.
Yeah. The whole film's bizarre, man.
Yeah. I would say to you that like I had my top 10 films, and this is one of the films that like on top that really opened my eyes of how like how art house film good can be.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's not like the whole film is not making sense, but it's more like like when you put it in like a particular lens, everything start making sense, and it does for me. This one,
Well, it doesn't really, right?
well,
Just because
Not for me.
characters recur, like in the scene where Diane is at that party and you see the cowboy and you see the woman who is formerly Camilla but is now Camilla's lover. It's
It-
just
it
because
just
those
wa-
characters recur in that way doesn't mean that there's like a guiding,
yeah, well, I agree with that. It's just one of the theory, and as long as it makes sense to me, like because it advanced Betty or Diane's like Skype, like her state of mind at the time. It worked for me, man.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like the movie, and I do whenever I watch, Twin Peaks in particular, because that's
Mhm.
very long and very methodical about it's the whole puzzle and the whole story that it's trying to tell. This film, you know, feels like an extension of that.
Yeah.
I do get the sense that there is some larger philosophy at work, let's say, or some
Yeah.
larger vision that's making that that is causing the film or the television series, whatever the case may be, to be shot that way, written that way,
Mhm.
to play out the way that it does. But it's who's to say?
Yeah.
It's all just a dream.
Yeah. Well, I would say that like some of the part, even David Lynch, I would say haven't intentionally put that there. Uh, by that I mean like he, like if you read like the whole story behind Mulholland Drive, you will know that the Lynch, he wrote a screenplay just a night before, like a day before, and like the next day when Naomi Watts and others come up to the stage, they receive a new screenplay. So
Right.
he make up as he goes, and like you said, like he originally like shoot this one as a pilot for the whole series, and then when the whole thing scratch, they have to return to the shooting, and he just like improvise everything with like all the props that they still have.
Right.
So it just like he make up as he goes. It,
Yeah,
so
you kind of get that sense whenever you watch something like
yeah,
this. Is that it's like impressionistic. He's just kind of whatever
but
he sees and whatever appeals to him, whatever he's feeling, he puts into the work.
yeah, that's right. And the plot can feel random at time as well.
I don't know if it's random. I just think that
You're right.
it's like uh I don't know, like unsolvable. I don't think there's a solution.
Yep,
I
yep,
think
yep,
there's some sort of sense guiding it, but I don't think
yep,
there's a right answer.
yep. Hmm.
I mean, I recognize that and I accept it, but I don't really like it.
Yep. All right. So, what was your favorite part of the films?
Man, I don't know. I've already forgotten so much of it. I really like the symbolism of the box and the key.
Yep,
Well, we haven't talked about the key very much, and I feel like the key might
yep.
be one of the keys to the film.
All right.
Uh, there are a bunch of actors that are shared between this movie and Twin Peaks, and one of them is Robert Forster.
All right.
He's one of the cops who comes upon the scene of the crash, and in that car they find a blue key,
Mhm.
and it's the same one that um, Rita, I guess we'll call her, has in her bag. I think,
Yep.
along with the tens of thousands of dollars. And
Hold
I
on.
really like the
Did
symbolism
we
of the
see?
what's up.
Yeah. Did we see this detective again at all after the car crash?
No, we didn't. But the thing is, he's given very high billing in the film, probably
Oh.
because he's a known actor. But my guess is that he wanted Robert Forster to play a much larger role in the Mulholland Drive TV series.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but there wasn't, like Twin Peaks has a procedural angle.
Yep.
Who killed Laura Palmer? Even though that's not really the point of the television series. That's just kind of what gets you to tune in every week because there's a
Yep.
mystery to be solved. In the same way, I think that was probably the point. That was going to be the goal, like the hook of the Mulholland Drive TV series, and Robert Forster was going to be the cop, like the Kyle MacLachlan of Mulholland Drive.
Yep.
But I can't remember which version of the key they find in that scene. I can't remember if they find the plastic looking triangular one or if they find a regular key that's painted blue, like the one that we see in the the blue box scenes, like in the last part of the film. Can't remember which it is.
I don't recall either. Sorry.
They don't really focus on it. There's no close-up of it.
Yeah.
It's just in a bag, kind of swinging back and forth in the cop's hand as he's talking to Robert Forster. But I really like the symbolism of the blue box. So any scene that had to do with the blue box or the blue key, whether it be on one side of reality or the other, I was interested in. I also really liked the scene where the director... Oh, it's starting to rain here. I hope it doesn't rain too hard, because then you'll hear the rain on the window. I like the scene where the director comes home and finds Billy Ray Cyrus in bed with his wife, and him just like wordlessly walking out with her jewelry and spilling the pink paint on it. That was very, very David Lynch, I thought. Just something completely absurd.
Yeah. Oh,
I enjoyed that. That made me laugh.
Yep. Yeah.
What was your favorite scene?
I would say Silencio scenes. So Remy, so...
Well, Rebecca Del Rio has a beautiful voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's interesting what that scene is saying about film in general, I think. Like, even if you believe that an instrument is being played or that someone is singing or that someone is acting, it's not real. You know?
Yeah.
I think there's probably meta commentary about movies in that scene. Like if you're watching a movie, even if you feel that it's really happening, it's not. It's just an illusion. That's what movies are. That's what the business of making movies is.
Yeah. Whew. Oh, I think we need to move on to other shows, because we on other films, because we talk a lot on this one. We try to unlock it. We try to like make sense of it.
Can't really be done.
Yeah. I don't think it can be done.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's a puzzle. Kind of fun to try to put it together, even if not all the pieces connect.
Yeah,
it can't be solved.
Yeah, but I would say one thing, that this one that turned Naomi Watts' career into like a star for the Queen of Remake that she had later on. And
Queen of what? Remakes?
Remake. She made a lot of remake.
Oh, really?
Like The Ring, like King Kong.
Oh.
Like she's pretty good. This is the one that made me become like one of her favorite.
I've only seen her in two things. One is this movie, and one is Twin Peaks.
Oh, she appeared in Twin Peaks as well.
In season 3, yeah.
All right. Here you go.
I know I've said Twin Peaks like 10 times so far, but there really are. I mean, I have only mentioned. I've mostly restricted my mentions of that show to characters, like actors who appear in both. Yeah. If I were to do like comparisons between like thematic comparisons, story beats, they run a lot deeper than just sharing some actors. I can tell that both series were made by the same guy, because there's a lot of the same ideas in each.
Yeah.
But yeah, Naomi Watts is in Twin Peaks. I don't know. Maybe I've seen her in something else, but I don't remember what that would have been. But she's an incredible actress. Yeah. Like the fear, like the contrast between how she acts when she gets off the plane, and how she acts in the audition scene where she's with the actor who's like so much older than she is. And the fear and like the disgust and the anger, all as she's in various states of like reality or whatever, whether she's in a dream or we don't know, but just everything the movie calls on her to do, she's like, I got it, easy. I'm the queen of this film. I'll do whatever.
Yeah, I agree. See magnificent in Mulholland Drive.
Yep.
For sure. All right. The next one gonna be Black Swan.
Right.
Aronofsky.
Yeah, Aronofsky is the only director whose work I've never seen before,
All right.
to my
Yeah. So
knowledge.
all right. So he directed. Before this, he directed Requiem for a Dream. He directed the Wrestler.
With Mickey Rooney.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Okay.
The Fountain and Pi of P Pi. The number pi.
Oh yeah, I think we talked about that film. It was
Yeah.
Ito Invaded.
Oh,
Remember?
right.
That reminded us of, or reminded you, I should say, of
Yeah.
that film Pi.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I have watched almost all his movies, but not Noir and Murder later on. So like all his previous movies I have watched.
Huh.
He's the one that I would say that he had a tendency to go all out.
Yeah, that definitely applies to this movie.
How you feel of Black Swan as a whole? Then?
I liked it.
Yeah.
There was one. I'll tell you, the one scene that I did not buy was the
Yep.
one where, there's all sorts of scenes in this film. I mean, I would compare Natalie Portman's performance in this film to Naomi Watts' performance in Mulholland Drive,
Mhm.
where she's a woman who's kind of like unhinged.
Yep.
She doesn't know what's real.
Yep.
There are she experiences moments of like pure elation and happiness, and
Yep.
moments of like abject despair and suffering. So that's it's a wonderful and like fearless performance that she gives. But
Yep.
one of the scenes where she's like kind of breaking down, and she
Yep.
comes home to her apartment and she goes into her mom's room and sees all the paintings and the
Pictures.
portraits of her, and they've all like come to life and they're all talking and moving and laughing.
Yep.
That scene made me bust out laughing because it just looks so terrible.
All right.
It was horrible.
Yep.
Not credible in any way. Apart from that one moment, I think I was like pretty much sucked into the film the entire time.
All right. Yep. This is the very first time that I watched a Aronofsky movies. I remember I watched it back in 2010 as well when it just came out, and I remember being so impressed because I would say that the ending for me ended perfectly. It couldn't have ended any other ways, and it feel for me as if that the whole story like based it from the ending, so they work out from the ending and then they work backward to like how to construct to that ending.
Yeah,
You know what I
possibly.
mean? Yeah.
It does. That is what drives her character. Is like it's about the pursuit of perfection, the
Mhm.
lengths that you have to go to in order to achieve it.
Yeah.
And in
So
the end, she does, and she pays the price. I mean, maybe that's the film's argument: is that you can't ever achieve perfection unless you're willing to die for it.
yeah.
He, from what you have said just now, it sounds like he's that sort of filmmaker.
Yep. I would agree with you on that. And one thing though that I don't know if it's worth for this film benefit is tendency to go horror.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I wasn't ever horrified by this film, I don't think.
yeah. But like there are some of the scene that I think it intend for I wouldn't say jump scare, but it intend to be a bit like amp ups the scare a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, well, specifically, like the body horror stuff, where
Yep.
she's got
Oh, I like that.
a cracked toenail, or she pulls back the skin around her fingernail in the
Yeah.
bathroom at the ballet. I don't know.
Yeah.
What would you call it? The
Uh,
building.
the stage room or something.
Yeah. Well, just that building as a whole. Would it be called an auditorium? Would it be called a theater? I guess a theater.
Oh, theater. Yep.
And there's a scene where in a theater bathroom she like pulls back the skin around her fingernail, and those scenes, I made it my mission to watch this film because I knew there was going to be body horror in it. I
Yep.
knew about this film's reputation,
All
So
right.
I made it my goal not to look away because when we watched Old Boy, when we did the
Yeah.
thing about
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Korean cinema,
Yeah.
um, I had to look away at like probably 2 or 3 points through this film.
Yeah.
So for Black Swan, I just kept my gaze trained on the screen the whole time, and I managed
Uh,
to do it. Like I really don't like blood
yeah.
or pain or anything like that. So horror is not really for me. But I was never really horrified by this
Yeah.
film. I don't think there were any jump scares at all.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I, I,
so no cheap tricks, you know, just
right.
growing a growing sense of dread.
I would say that the body horror stuff that you just mentioned, I really into it.
You're really
In Flash
into
One,
that.
I no no I mean like it served as a purpose in Flash One. It's like the transformation.
Oh yeah, it's foreshadowing the
So
fact that she's going to become the Black Swan.
yep. So I like that. I'm more thinking of like the inclusion of like Beth characters played by Winona Ryder.
Right. Well, where she stabs herself when she has Natalie Portman's face.
Yeah, that's right. And whenever like Nina, like saw her on screen, there will be like the it just amicably. The score would be boom, and then
Yeah.
we see Beth character just behind her, like
Really?
that. Yeah, I remember that scene. Like it did like jump it might be jump a little.
A scene where Beth's character was right behind her, like she just popped up behind her.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
yeah, like the scene where Nina was so confused and then boom,
Where
here
she was
she
so
was
confused.
just behind her.
Is
But
this when
yeah,
she's stealing stuff from her dressing room? Because she gets out of there without anyone spotting her.
no,
Is it the
I
scene
think
where
that's
she
the
visits her in her hospital room?
I think that's the one before that. That's the one I think in the party or something
Yeah. Beth
where
is there and she's like acting all upset because Thomas
yeah
has cast her aside, basically. Or
yeah.
at least that's how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember a scene like that.
All right, yep. But yeah. All right. How do you find Mila Kunis characters? Lily.
How do I find her character? I don't know. I mean, it's a good performance, I guess. I mean, the performance is like casual enough, I guess, or lighthearted enough that it doesn't it doesn't like force you into thinking of the Black Swan whenever she pops up on screen. Because if she had gone darker with it, or more sensual or more sadistic, or if she'd gone in that direction, the sensation that she was just like a projection of Natalie Portman's or Nina's consciousness, or that she was too representative of the Black Swan or of the
Mm.
darker side of performance in general, that sensation would have been too strong. So I
Mm.
think the fact that she kind of is a little bit more casual for the majority of the film, even at the very end, when Nina thinks that she's killed her and she knocks on the door and is like, "You were really great out there."
Yeah.
Uh, it was necessary for her to have that sort of lightness to her character. So I think it was a good performance. It
Oh.
was written with intentionality.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked her in the movie.
Okay. And
You?
yeah. I feel that like because I always know her as like she always play comedy like rom-com. So this is like one of her only roles that she play like a more dramatic, like a serious role. And I would say that she nailed it because the contrast between her and Natalie Portman characters,
Yeah.
we can clearly see that. So yes,
Well, the fact that she has a comedy background probably worked in her favor, because Natalie Portman is such a dramatic actress, and you need the
yeah,
contrast between those two characters. So for them to probably, I don't know, have much different experience acting and to have received different roles and perhaps even received different sorts of training,
yeah,
it works for the film because it's about duality. White Swan, Black Swan.
yeah, yeah.
And there is the question as you watch the film of whether Mila Kunis's character, whether Lily is even real.
Yeah.
Because there's, I mean, I think she is.
I
I
think
think
she
it's pretty
is.
obvious that she is, because she really exists, and Nina takes her image
Yep.
and projects it in particular scenes where she's not really there.
Yep.
But she is a real person.
Yep.
There's the scene where you're least sure, I guess, of whether she's real or not is the one where Nina and her mom have had this, they're having this argument,
Mm-hmm.
and then the doorbell rings, and Nina's
Yeah.
mom goes to the door and says there's no one there. Then Nina goes to the door and sees Beth there. And
Yeah.
as Nina's mom comes out into the hallway to try to bring her daughter back in, she never addresses Lily,
Yep.
as though Lily's not really there. And Nina had imagined the doorbell ringing and imagined Beth in the hallway, or Lily in the hallway, and everything else. But
Uh,
she then goes to the club, and Lily is there with her. And I think based on the way that the scene is blocked and the dialogue, it's clear that, well, maybe I don't know.
yeah, I would say that she wasn't real at the time.
I
And
think she may have been real. They just didn't go home together.
yeah, I would agree with that. So I mean that uh when her mom opened the door, and I think that was the one that she wasn't real.
Yeah,
But
that makes
then
sense, but that could also be the film playing with you. She could have
yeah,
actually been there.
yeah, that's right. And then they also make love together. So I'll go
Right.
back to Mulholland Drive as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't have a psychological thriller film without some lesbianism. Well, Mila Kunis, how does she refer to it? She says,
You
a
fantasize
wet
about
lesy
me.
dream, a wet lesy
Oh
dream
yeah,
about me,
yeah,
or a
yeah,
lesy wet dream about me. Yeah, I really do like Mila Kunis as an actress,
yeah,
because like the way that she delivers that line in particular, she finds it amusing, but she's
yeah,
also intrigued. She's like, oh,
yeah,
tell me
yeah,
more. Was I? Oh, she says,
yeah,
was I good? And
yeah,
then it cuts away. That's
yeah.
such a great. Like
That's
she's so playful,
yeah,
but there's also a hint of something else.
yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, that seems really. I
Yeah,
mean, the reason that not her acting and saying was I good, but the scene itself, the sex scene itself, part of the reason why it's so interesting is the question of whether she's there or not, and if she's not, what does that say about Nina?
yeah,
Like, is she projecting Lily's image because Lily represents her own sexuality, which she's not able to get in touch with?
yeah.
Every time she tries, like, there's the scene where she's masturbating and she turns over and her mother is there in the room asleep.
Yeah.
And that is thematically appropriate, I think, because
Hmm.
she's kind of trapped in her childhood because she's living with her mother. Her mother wants to control everything that she does.
Yeah.
And she, is living vicariously through her. So it's all, I mean, yeah, this movie's very Freudian, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of the psychology is kind of superficial, and it has a lot to do with parents and children, and there's no father in Nina's life, so Thomas, in
Yeah.
one sense, is acting as her
Yeah.
father in a Freudian sense.
Mhm.
So it is psychological, but it's shallow enough that you can follow along, without a degree in
Well,
psychology.
I would say that it's shallow enough compared to Mulholland Drive. It just
When I say shallow, I'm strictly talking about like the psychology
straightforward.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
Mulholland Drive, for example, is more Jungian, whereas Black Swan is more Freudian, and Freud
yeah.
is the much simpler.
I would say more universal.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah, universal. People from different cultures can all understand what is going on.
Yeah. Huh.
But it's still entertaining because like well, I mean, mostly I think it's because of Natalie Portman's performance. Like, she so desperately wants to get this right. That's what she wants most out of anything in the film, not to be loved by Thomas or by Lily or by her
Yeah.
mother or by herself.
Yeah.
More than any of that, she wants to give the perfect performance, and she does.
Yeah. Just the one.
Right. Well, that's another of the film's arguments, that in addition to you have to die. Like, you have to die. You have to be willing to die in order to give the perfect performance. Maybe it's going a step further and saying that you can only give one perfect performance, because once you achieve perfection, you die. Like, it's only when you come right up to that threshold and then cross it, the border between life and death. It's only once you cross that border that you can give the perfect performance.
Yeah. 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 Well, I agree with you on that. I agree with. I'm not necessarily agree with Nina assessment that like you have to cross the border to die. But yeah, it was for me. For me, it still is a perfect ending for Black Swan.
Yeah. Yeah, the film ends well,
Yeah.
in the only way that it could have at that point, because by that time she had stabbed.
Herself.
Yes, herself. It looked like she had stabbed Lily. The film had already gone to that very violent and bloody place. So if you back up and say, "Oh no, that was all an illusion," then you'd feel kind of cheated. She needed to have stabbed herself, killed herself, in order for like the viscerality of that moment to persist with the audience member even after the film is over.
Yeah. Just one little off note that this is like a performance that I watched Winona Ryder again. Like I watched her in like some of her like really young actress when she plays in Beetlejuice, when she played in theaters, and she was really excellent. And then there was like a long stretch where she not playing anything, and this is like her comeback role. And then she disappeared again until she reappeared in Stranger Things.
The television series or the web
television
series?
The television series. I'm not sure if you have watched Stranger Things, but
I
she's
haven't.
secret in there as well. So she have always been really good. I just don't know why she would disappear for like a decade before she just.
Who knows? We can't know for sure. It could be that she just wanted. I mean, does she have kids? Did she take time off to be like a full-time
no
mom,
idea.
or
No idea. Maybe.
it could be that she stepped away of her own, of her own volition. But it's also possible that, I mean, we were just talking about what Mulholland Drive has to say about Hollywood and the process of casting, and what external factors go into that. It's not just about talent. It's not just about who's right for the part, whatever that means. It's also about people who want certain actresses cast for their own selfish reasons. And it could be that Winona Ryder, like, she pissed somebody off and she wasn't getting roles because of that, or she just wasn't seen as like a movie star anymore, like a Sunset Boulevard type of thing where she just got left behind. And if that's the case, then Black Swan casting her as a performer, as a dancer who has been left behind by Thomas, would have some additional resonance.
Yeah, that's right. It's very appropriate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's the case,
if that's the case,
that she wasn't being cast because, I don't know, the Black Book, she wasn't in the Black Book, like the Hollywood cabal, wasn't casting her anymore.
Yeah.
I've seen, I can't remember, I've seen an interview with somebody who said that like that's not just like a metaphorical sort of thing. Like, there really is a list. People do really keep lists in Hollywood of actors who are bankable and who star in all the big pictures. It's like a list of a couple hundred names, and everybody else really does not have a shot unless it's like independent film.
That's so stupid.
Yeah. I can't, man, I really wish that I remembered. It sounds like I'm making that up because I can't remember who it was who said it or what interview it was, but I've seen.
What is your shorts?
What's what?
But it's just source.
Yeah, what's your source? I don't know.
Yep.
But I saw somebody talk about that.
Yep.
I have to imagine that it wouldn't be too difficult to find if you Googled.
All right. If you are you still interested to watch more of Darren Aronofsky films after this?
Sure.
Yep. He's a big fan of Satoshi Kon.
Yeah, you're going to talk about the Perfect Blue comparison.
Yeah, that's right.
I was aware of that already before I even watched this film, and yeah, I mean there's some clear similarities, but it's not as though the plot is like a 1-to-1 ripoff.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
I think it would have been nice if he had acknowledged that he was inspired by it instead of just acknowledging the similarities.
Nah, because I think he actually buy the rights of Perfect Blue to just like recreate that one shot. As the same as Perfect Blue in his early movies, in Requiem for a Dreams, not this one.
Ah, okay.
But
So
you still see that the similar in plot, like some of the plot reminded you of Perfect Blue in him as well.
Yeah, it's about a woman like losing her sanity, like specifically a woman who's an artist, like who's in performance, losing her grip on reality. She's not sure who she is. Although I think there's a very crucial difference between the two films, and that is that in Perfect Blue there is a literal stalker, who is causing these insecurities to be like increased in the main character, whereas in Black Swan there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Certainly her mother's behavior and Thomas' behavior and those things increase her paranoia, and her desperation to give a perfect performance. At first to please other people, but then ultimately for herself. But it's totally like an interior film, whereas Perfect Blue, despite being a very interior film and being very, very rooted in the psychology of its main character, there is an external force acting against her, the stalker. So in that sense, the two films are different.
Yeah. All right. You have any other notes before we go to Gone Girl? The Girl is Gone.
Oh yeah, the opening shot of both of Mulholland Drive. We already talked a little bit about my theory for Mulholland Drive is that the opening dance scene with all the different couples like dancing in the kind of the same visual space, they're all like layered on top of each other. I thought of that as being the jitterbug contest that Diane won in Mulholland Drive. I doubt that that's ever been confirmed, but seems to me that's the most reasonable explanation. So the opening shot of that film is really interesting. This one too is another dance scene, and in it, Nina is dancing with Rothbart, who's the evil like sorcerer. And it's a dream, and she wakes up. So it's like her performance in that scene is different from the performance she eventually gives at the end when she's dancing with Rothbart in the Black Swan scene, because at the end of the film in the Black Swan scene she is exuding like such like control and such I don't know, like everyone is under her spell basically. She has power over everyone, including the evil sorcerer character, whereas in the first scene she is like she seems so unsure of herself. And the way that it's shot specifically, like he seems to be blocking her in a lot of moments in that dance scene, and in terms of the way the characters are framed, she's not always in focus. So it's like at that point, before she's found it within herself to give this perfect performance, all she can do is kind of like be swept underneath his spell. So I think it's interesting the way that those two scenes mirror each other.
I totally agree with you on that. I also want to make a note that like the later scene, the last 10 minutes, we follow her very closely. We only have like the screen is only focused on Nina characters.
That's true. The film even like it doesn't cut from one shot of the stage to the next. We follow her back behind the curtain.
That's right.
So
Yep.
we're completely locked into her point of view. Yeah.
That's right. And it seems like it's all done in one cut,
Yeah. Now that
which
you
is
mention
really
it,
impressive.
I
Yep.
doubt that it was, but it
I
does kind of
doubt it.
feel like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really great choice. So we follow her from on stage to off stage to on stage again, and I think it really appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Oh, are we going to talk about the old man on the train rubbing his crotch?
Yep. Well, I'm talking. Let's talk about him. Huh. Yep.
I'm honestly, that scene to me just read like Aronofsky being like, "Oh man, isn't the male gaze so evil?"
Yeah.
Almost as though he was like aware of what kind of reception the movie was going to get before it was made,
Yep.
and he
Yep.
was like heading that off at the pass, being like, "Don't worry, I understand that this is like a very
Oh,
intense and personal film, and that it's like very focused on how troubled this young girl is, and it's it's not pornographic, but it's highly erotic as well in a
yeah.
couple of scenes particularly. So it's almost like he just put that scene in there like as a middle finger to the critics, like I know what you're gonna say, don't bother.
Yeah. Just fuck it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I read that scene. I mean, how does it fit into the movie apart from that?
It's not. Yeah, I agree. I yep.
Because it's so weird. Like he's on the train and he's licking his lips and rubbing himself, and I mean, especially because at that point in the movie, like Nina is like she's losing herself,
Yeah.
slowly but surely. So it doesn't. She's like drawn more and more into her own world, like her own interior sense of self. So she would be less and less likely, I think, to conjure up some sort of vision like that.
Mhm.
So I don't think that's just like a product of her imagination. I think it's just a scene with a guy who's acting that way as a message from the director to the audience.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's another. See, the thing is, though, that scene, like, because I came up pretty quickly with a theory for why it was included in the film, and it was kind of, I don't know, like amusing to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't stick out as much as the scene where Nina goes into her mom's room and sees all the paintings laughing and stuff. That was worse.
I actually feel I actually like that scene. The one that you didn't like, the one that you laughed. I enjoyed that one.
You didn't think the effects were terrible?
I just feel that it gives me like an uncanny feeling, which I think is not the job. It's not supposed to be scary, but the girl are crying.
I
All
think
these
it was
things.
supposed to be scary, wasn't it? I mean,
Well, yep,
well,
it
if
does.
if that happened to you, you would be scared.
Mhm.
It didn't end up
Yeah,
being scary. It ended up being a little bit amusing.
yeah,
Uh,
well,
I think it fit like it's not as though she comes home, goes immediately into her mom's room, sees those paintings, and then goes in and locks herself in her room. There's a couple other steps in there,
yeah.
so it's part of a larger mental breakdown that she's having.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, you know,
Yep,
so it's not as though it like breaks the film in half or anything. Uh, but I didn't like it.
yeah. All right,
It's not.
all
Yeah,
right.
it's not bad though. It's pretty. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie.
It's yeah. It's not say that Darren Aronofsky is my favorite directors. But his film certainly like Apple, and he always go also with his movie, so it's always have like that's kind of that's lasting impact on me. So yeah, Plus One is one of my favorite film from his for sure.
Hmm. All right.
All right, let's go to Gone Girl.
Okay. David Fincher, the director
Uh,
with whom I probably have the most experience out of these three. Actually,
yeah,
that's not true. I mean, it would have to be Lynch because,
yeah. You just watch like a 3 season of
well,
Twin
season
Peaks.
3 of Twin Peaks specifically is all him. I mean, TV series are
Mm,
not usually directed by just one person.
yeah, yeah,
But 18 hours of season 3, all Lynch, definitely prepared me for Mulholland Drive. But in terms of like features, I've
yeah,
seen several Finchers: Social Network, Seven,
yeah,
Fight Club, and now Gone Girl. I haven't
yeah.
seen Zodiac or Alien 3 or Benjamin Button or
Yeah, what you saw like some his most essential stuff. Have you
yeah.
seen Social Network?
I have, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he is known for his dark thriller. This is one of this one. I think it is like very signatures, the features touch in here.
You think what?
Are really signatures, the features.
It's one of his signature movies.
Yeah,
Huh. Yeah. I
my
mean it is very kind of methodical like a Fincher story,
uh
but I don't know. It
all
doesn't
right,
have I feel like it's missing something.
right,
Um
right,
the the film just feels very clean.
right.
Like it's too, I don't know. It's too perfect. It's too
Too
like
perfect.
it's too like clinical. It's too surgical.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem to there doesn't seem to be a single hair out of place. And I know that's Fincher's thing. Like he makes people do 60 takes
yeah.
or more.
Or 90 takes.
Yeah. I know
Jeez.
that's his thing. Um, I don't know. I feel like that may have been to the movie's detriment in this case.
All right. Let me just say first that this made from the novel from Gillian Flynn, and I have that novel with me. I think I read like the first few chapters, and I would say that the novel itself is like a patronus. So you just like you just don't want to stop when you're reading it. I stopped somehow. I don't know why. The novel ending is different from the film's ending.
How is it different?
I don't really I can't recall that now. But I think that's the novel ending is they not getting back together.
Okay, good.
But I think if that's the case, the film ending is more appropriate because I think they deserve to have each other.
They deserve to have each other.
Yeah,
How? They
because
deserve to be locked up in mental institutions. That's what they deserve.
yeah, because they both let's just say they both corrupted. They both like they are in the same wavelength now.
Well, hold on a second.
All right.
On the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Amy is crazy.
Yep.
She's like sociopathic.
Yep.
I think Nick is just a douche.
All right. Yep.
I don't think that's the same at all.
I would say that is Nick who started all this.
It's Nick who started all this.
Yeah, he started having an affair.
That's true.
He, and it's Amy who like trying to cope with that, and then she just turned around the corner as well. She like she on top. She back to like being the one in charge. I enjoy this movie a lot. I
I
just
mean,
enjoy the fact that like she take everything like her own charge, and she uh like do all kind of all the twisty things to like get Nick character to like to be framed as a murderer.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if this happened to someone in real life, I doubt that they would. I doubt that they would be like, "Oh man, I really brought this on myself, didn't I?"
Well,
Like if your
yep.
girlfriend or your wife frames you for her murder, you're not going to think to yourself, "Oh man, I really shouldn't have had that affair." You're going to be thinking, "This woman's insane. She's crazy."
Yep. 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 Yep.
I mean, the film certainly does its best to frame him as like a complete tool.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big old cad who's cheating on his wife with his like teenage or early 20s student.
Students. Yeah.
We never see him as a teacher, but
That's
it's
right.
it's mentioned in the script that he's teaching
Yeah.
after he gets fired from his job writing for a men's magazine.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I mean, he's a jerk, and he doesn't like seem that upset by the fact that his wife is gone, and that woman who promises to bake him the chicken Frito casserole. The product placement in this movie, no,
Mm-hmm.
just no. The like she mentioned her chicken Frito casserole, and then later, Rosalind, Rosamund Pike's character is seen eating Fritos on that inflatable chair in the middle of that pool. Just get your product placement out of my face. I don't care. I'm not going to buy Fritos because you said so.
All right.
Uh, anyway, the woman who says chicken Frito casserole and then takes the selfie with him and he smiles. I
Yep.
feel like this film's trying really hard to make Nick out to be a douche bag, which he
Yep.
is.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. There's just like a sort of mechanicalness, like a machinery to this film. Um, do you
Yep.
remember the scene where how they go on scavenger hunts whenever it's their anniversary? Like there's
Yep. Yep.
treasure
Yep.
hunts with clues and stuff.
Yep.
And one year, I can't remember which year it is, maybe year 4,
Yep.
they both get each other sheets with really high thread counts because they both love having sex so much.
Yep.
And then he pulls out the thing showing her that he got the same gift that she did. And she says, "We're so cute. I just want to punch us in the face." That's kind of how I felt watching the two of them interact in this movie. I felt like I wanted to punch them in the face, and that the film was trying a little bit too hard to make them out to be so cute in these
All right.
flashbacks.
Yep. All
There just didn't seem to be a real element of naturalism like anywhere in
right.
this movie at
Right.
all. And neither was there any humor. Like the scene where Tyler Perry's character, what was his name?
Tanner.
Tanner, yes. Where Tanner is throwing the gummy bears at Nick's character whenever he comes off as unlikable when they're practicing for the interview.
Yep. 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 Yep.
That's a fun concept. But the thing is, as I was watching that scene, Nick at the very end of it or I should say Ben Affleck, because that's the only person that I see when I look at Ben Affleck playing Nick. I just see Ben Affleck. He gives one last line reading,
Yep.
and then it cuts away. What should have happened was he gives the line reading, Tanner from off screen throws a gummy bear at him, it hits him in the face, and then you cut.
Yep.
That just seemed like such an obvious choice to me because it was such a smarmy line reading that he gives. But the film
Yep.
doesn't do that. It like doesn't create that moment of humor for itself.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
similarly, during the scene where they go into the woodshed and the cops, after Nick and Margot have gone into the woodshed and they've seen what's there, when the cops discover the woodshed and they're playing with the robot dog or the little drone thing,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
the film only shows us that for a split second and then it cuts away. You should have lingered on that moment for a little bit because it's
Okay.
kind of an absurd picture
Yep.
in that it links to the fact that Amy has framed him so elaborately and now the cops are like playing around with all the evidence that she's left. It's like super ironic and amusing. But Fincher's like, nope, the scene's over. We're cutting this out. This is too fun.
Yep.
I don't know. There were a lot of little choices that I didn't agree with while watching
All
this
right.
movie.
Hmm.
The upside of the whole thing is Rosamund Pike.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the upside of the film.
I
She
agree.
just gives a crazy. All three of these films have unbelievable performances from blonde actresses, or I don't know. Two of them are blonde, and Natalie Portman's just light haired,
Yep,
but
yep, yep.
all absolutely nuts. Go for broke.
I I agree with you that Ben Affleck in I don't really like Ben Affleck as an actor or even as a director. I don't really like
You didn't like
his.
Argo?
I didn't like Argo. I think it's alright. It's not the best. I feel alright. Let's just go with Argo. I feel like the ending of Argo is just too Hollywood. You know, have you watched it? Have you
I
seen
haven't.
remember?
No.
All right, right, yep, yep. So I just feel like the whole thing of Argo is still very Hollywood.
That kind of makes sense for an actor making a film to write a Hollywood ending,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
because
yeah,
what they know about storytelling is largely
yeah,
informed by the stories that other people have had them act in.
yeah. All right. Back to this. So, Ben Affleck acting has a way have a kind of like reserve, like he isn't really there, and I think it fit perfectly with this character because Nick is like a kind of characters doesn't who isn't like in his mind. It's his own mind when Amy's gone, so he had like a lot of things on his mind, and yeah, I think it just strangely it fit perfectly with this character in It's Gone Girl.
Hmm.
Despite that, I don't like Ben Affleck at all, and I think he's had a punchable face, which is again very fit with these characters.
Yeah, I mean, Rosamund Pike even says, "I want to punch us in the face." When she said that, she was probably picturing Ben Affleck's face. I see what you're saying. The fact that he doesn't really seem to be there, like he doesn't really seem to inhabit the character.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um, I understand what you mean when you say that's kind of appropriate for this film, but I don't really
I
see
don't
it
like
that
it.
way.
All right.
I was more interested in Neil Patrick Harris's character.
Oh God,
In fact,
this
that whole part of the
poor guy.
story,
Yeah.
Desi, like he at first seems to be just as sinister as Amy is.
Hmm.
Like some of
Hmm.
the ways that he would like come around a corner or like hold on to a like a door frame before
Yep.
disappearing and leaving her alone for the night.
Yep.
Like his
Yep.
his
Yep.
mannerisms made me think that we were going to get like a weird cat and mouse game
Yep.
between him and Amy.
Yep.
But in the end, she was just way more vicious and bloodthirsty than he was.
Yep.
So I was kind of disappointed by that actually, but that's really
I
just a personal thing.
Yeah, I actually feel the same. I actually feel that his character can add more to the story than this
Yeah.
because at the
Maybe
end of the
maybe he
day,
did in the novel.
yeah, maybe because at the end of the day in this film he just like play out as a tool for Amy. She used it, she used him when she needed, and she discard him when like there's she found some better prospect.
Yeah, oh man, the look on her face when she was watching that interview on TV
Yeah.
and she was seeing like the version of Nick that she wanted,
Yep.
I
Yep.
guess.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It
Yep.
was I mean her performance was really crazy. Like the her she kind of transformed her facial features.
Yep.
But it's interesting that she's like the big master manipulator, because at the end she inseminates herself with his sperm,
Yep.
so forcing him to stay with her for the sake of the child.
Yep.
But so she's the one pulling all the strings, it seems, and yet she was lured back to be with him because of his performance, which he was faking on television.
Yep.
So it's kind of weird. I don't know how to feel about that.
She just want love. She just want to be loved. So it
But
twisted for
he
sure.
essentially tricks her into coming back, like unintentionally, I guess.
I think it intentionally to
Well,
trick her back, but
yeah,
he
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 he wants
didn't
her to
know
show
that.
up so that he'll be absolved of or acquitted of murder,
Yep.
but he doesn't want to stay with her
Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
raise her kid.
and that's the price that he got now. For cheating from
That's
it.
right.
Oh god. I I just think that out of the three story, this is like the one that like less the one that the most superficial. So like less deep, but it still says something about the dynamic of the marriage
I don't know. I don't really see this
of
film as
commitment.
having anything to like. There's no commentary being offered.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, if you read it as some sort of commentary about marriage or about like men and women or anything, then the film is just like blah.
uh-huh.
You're not going to get too many flattering readings of it if you think of it as a commentary or a critique.
I
I think it's mostly just supposed to be a thriller,
right.
like an entertainment.
I actually I actually feel that the toxic relationship here uh say something about marriage.
Well, I
I
think the
still think
film
it's relevant.
frames itself that way because of the
Yep.
opening narration from Affleck.
Oh yeah.
When I think of my wife, I think of her head. I want to crush her skull
You
and
see.
unspool her brains and see what are you thinking, what are you feeling, like that.
Yep. 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 Yep.
What are we doing to each other? So yeah, the film frames itself that way, but really what does this film offer to the average married couple or to people who are engaged in romantic
Yeah.
entanglements in general? It just seems
Yeah.
like a crazy thrill ride to me.
Yeah. It just seems like watch out your girlfriend or your spouse because they can be as crazy as this Amy.
I get
That's
not really.
so. so
If
so
that
don't
were the
try to
film's
cheat.
message, that would be kind of troubling.
Yeah.
I
Well.
don't know.
Well.
I'll tell you one thing that the film was commenting on was the media's tendency to latch
Yep.
on to stories
Yep.
and like milking them for everything they're worth and then just like
I agree. Yep.
disregarding the humanity of the people who are the subjects of those stories.
Yep.
The scene
Yep.
where the blonde woman comes into their house near the end and he was like, you said that I was a murderer and you said all this stuff about me and you said that I was sleeping with my twin sister. And
Yep.
she's like, oh, water under the bridge. Doesn't matter. La, 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 la. I have
Yeah.
an audience of millions.
Yep.
Um, that
That's
I did enjoy. The idea
yeah.
that the media are just a bunch of like blood-sucking
Yeah.
scoundrels.
Yeah. They just want to make a shock.
Yeah, well, I mean, news is 24/7 now.
Yep.
They got to fill that time.
Yeah. I do think that's this movie also is a commentary of these like the frenzy social media when it could go uh off the boat and like you said doesn't care about the subjects as a human being, but yeah.
It,
The-
I mean that's definitely present in the film, and I enjoy that aspect of it. But I don't think that's what the film is about,
yeah,
because it's the
agree.
focus on the central relationship, the marriage, and how it falls apart, and what the result of that is so much stronger. And you got Ben Affleck being one half of that,
Yeah.
and a very very clean and orderly script that has been, I don't know. I feel like it was probably written in the same way that Fincher shoots.
Mhm.
Like he just seems like such a perfectionist. The film is,
Mhm.
I don't know. There's no humor to it. There's no. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even, this film's labeled a psychological thriller. I don't think I was ever really until Amy reached under the pillow for the box cutter to kill Desi. I don't think
Yeah.
the film had a thrilling moment leading up to that point, like whatsoever. I was definitely intrigued by the section where she reveals her master plan,
Yep.
with the narration and the montage of her setting it all up and putting the catheter into her arm, or the IV or whatever you call it, getting all the blood and all that. I was like, oh wow, this is really, I'm into it. This is cool. We got the Trent Reznor music playing in the background, the beats going as she's explaining her whole plan. I'm like, yeah. But I don't know. There were just very few moments where I was thrilled.
Yeah.
Watching this movie, I was mostly just like kind of observing and along for the ride.
Yeah, I would say that I actually think that this is more of a thriller. I still think it's true more than a psychological thriller. So it's less about psychology, more about thriller. There's the other two movies that we watch. So the other two is more of like an unreliable narrators. This one still have a bit of unreliable, but it's not in the sense that they don't know what is real, what is a dream. But this one there is a clear cut.
Well, there are some scenes that probably didn't happen as they were portrayed, because like some of the flashbacks that we get throughout the movie that always begin with Amy writing in her diary probably didn't happen the way that we were shown. Because she was exaggerating and even lying about some of the stuff that she wrote down. For example, we don't know if Nick actually pushed her.
I don't think so. I think it's just it's just part of her plan.
Yeah.
To frame him. Yeah.
Well, that could be, but it also could be that he really did push her, and what her invention was the stuff that she wrote afterwards, like because she says in her diary, what scares me isn't that he pushed me. What scares me is that I can see that he wants to do it again, and then I'm afraid of my husband. That could be the part that she invented, or she could have made up the whole thing. We don't know. So there is an element of unreliability. But it's, there's none of like the haziness or the dreaminess of the other two films. There's very little room to interpret. Just there's only room to guess and to put stuff together.
Yeah, I still would say that I enjoy this film, but I also think that the film peaked too soon. I think the best part is the one that Amy revealed her master plan, and it's like the beginning. It's like just after 20 minutes of the films.
No way. It's farther along than that. It's like an hour.
Yeah, whoa. All right, a half hour. But it's like it's just the beginning, and then we get into like the cat and mouse chase between like the husband and the wife. So it feel like like the first pass
Yeah, I guess it does feel like it peaks too soon. Yeah, that is the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
The second best being the one where she kills Desi.
Right.
That seems crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's so brutal. Like, it doesn't cut away as he's bleeding all over her.
Yeah.
It just shows the whole thing. I mean, it's technically amazing. How did they get that much fake blood? Where did they store it to show that scene without cutting for so long?
Maybe CGI.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be.
And the fact that like he actually did nothing wrong to Amy,
Who, Desi?
Yeah.
Well, he like stalked her and stuff.
Yeah, well,
and wouldn't leave her alone for like 8 years and kept writing her letters and stuff. I mean, obviously that's wrong of him to do that, but it doesn't justify her behavior in the same way that Nick cheating on her doesn't justify her framing him for murder and inseminating herself with his sperm without his knowledge and everything else that she does.
Oh man, Amy, she can go late. You see, she can, amazing, man.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you use the word amazing because there's the books Amazing Amy, the book series that her parents wrote, and I feel like that was an important part of her character at the start of the movie. It kind of informs her character and tells you as an audience member a little bit about how she got to be so high strung, and like why. Why she is the sort of person that she is, at least at first. But then all the focus on her parents and the Amazing Amy stuff kind of gets dropped as the film goes on.
Yeah.
So you're just left with the portrait of her as like a total psychopath. I don't
Yeah.
know. There seemed to be like a piece missing there.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you that the amazing Amy actually informs us of her personality as she is now, because I I don't know if it mentioned in the film, but in the book that I read, that like the amazing Amy is like the perfect person of the child from from her parents.
Yeah,
So it's
that's how
like
it is in the
when,
movie too.
yeah, it's like when she decided to do something that they're not happy with. The amazing Amy will do the opposite way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Amazing Amy is the version of their daughter that her parents want.
yeah.
I just feel like that's probably at the core of how she got to be so messed up.
Yeah.
And I like her parents just weren't a big enough part of the story, because they're probably a major part of the story of who she is as a person, but in the film their role is minimized.
Yeah.
There's enough there that you can like make the leap yourself,
Yeah.
but you don't really feel, um, you know, you have no sympathy for her.
Yeah.
I guess you're enthralled by Pike's performance,
Mhm.
but you don't, you know, her feelings as she's doing all that stuff are entirely alien to you. You're just like, wow, this is so crazy and entertaining, but it's
It's
not
unrelatable.
related to the audience really in
Yeah.
a way that they can process it or feel it.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's like a miscalculation.
yeah. So I would say that out of the three films, this one is your least favorite, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
perhaps it can't help but be that, because when it's compared to the other two, I mean, they are so
yeah, I agree.
like they're not so rigidly made, you know. They bend and flex and allow you to kind of participate
Yeah.
as an audience member, whereas this one is, I mean, if you're going to make a film like this, you got to be ready for it to be criticized in a similar like very technical manner,
Mhm.
very like methodically. The other two films aren't, I mean, Black Swan is a very methodical film,
Yeah.
but it's not like a rigid film. It's
Yeah.
not an unfeeling sort of film.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good film. I would say it's a good movie, but I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that's all right. Just to say that my favorite of the three films is Mulholland Drive, and then Black Swan, and then God as well. So I think
I
we
think
might
mine
have the
would
same.
probably
Yeah.
be Black Swan,
Wow. Right.
but I did like Mulholland Drive a lot,
Yep. Yep.
and Gone Girl's not a bad film, and you know it's a good movie too. So
Yep.
interesting, an interesting collection of films, all with
Yep.
very strong performances by actresses.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep. I agree.
And I mean, Mulholland Drive and Gone Girl both do not have like a any sort of male performance that anchors them.
Yep.
They're like
Mhm.
woman-driven movies. Black Swan does have Thomas' performance,
Yep.
which, while it's not, you know, it's not central to the film, it is a very important part of it
Mhm.
because of how he motivates and like twists Nina's character, and is eventually like caught up. He's eventually like almost subservient to her. Like he
Yeah.
can't believe how good she is. He's completely
Yeah.
blown away. Like she blows him away and out of the film, you know,
Yep.
until she's all that there is.
Do you know the actor of that of of that one is
I can't remember his name. I've seen him before.
yeah,
If
he
you tell me his name, I'll remember it.
Vincent Castle. So I think he appeared in one of the Bond movies, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But he mostly a French actor, and so it's so funny to see him like acting in an like acting in English, because he a prominent figures in actor in French
Hmm.
speaking
Interesting.
cinema. Yeah.
He's a strong actor, man.
Yep, he
I mean,
is.
he plays a really convincing asshole.
All right. He played a really good playboys type.
Yeah, I guess he kind of does that in this movie. I mean, you can tell that's the sort of character that he is, but he doesn't bring a lot of that energy. It's more that he's like demanding and controlling.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, but and that's part of why I like the film is that in the end he is overpowered by Nina.
Yep.
Her dedication, like, blows him away.
Yep. Agreed. All right. I think that wrap up our psychological thriller weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's
we
see
won't
the next.
won't be back with another episode for quite some time, I don't think.
Yeah. For like
As many as 2 months, right?
yeah, for 1 month. So like
No, it's gonna be more than that, isn't it?
we will skip the April and we will back in the first of May.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
With what are these screwball comedies? Is that what this is?
Yes, screwball comedies. This is like another one of my favorite genre. So we will do with the 1940s classics such as His Girl Friday, Bring Up Baby, and The Lady Eve.
Right.
They talk so fast in these movies, so
Yeah. Well, I've seen the Maltese
Impressive.
Falcon, so I'm ready.
yeah, it comes from the same time as well.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be right at the start of May, so we got a little bit of time to rest before then.
Yeah,
Maybe watch Mulholland Drive 6 more
One more
times
time.
and
Yeah, 6 more times.
see if I can figure it out. Even though that'll probably never happen.
Oh my god, I so love that movies. Alrighty, so see you guys in a month time.
All right, we'll be back.
Yep. Bye.